Hello guys, my name is Jordan and welcome to my book talk. Today we are discussing The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. If you haven't read any of Christina Lauren's books, you should know it's not a person, it's two people named Christina and Lauren who write under the pen name Christina Lauren. This is not the first Christina Lauren book I've read. The very first one I read was The Unhoneymooners, which is an amazing book. I love that one very much. I would give that one a 5 out of 5 stars. This book, I think I'd only give it a 3 out of 5 stars just because I don't think the spiciness is what I personally am craving. It felt like all the moments leading up to the eventual intimate scenes were much more spicy than the actual scenes themselves. And then also I think the conflict at the end was it could have been avoided in my opinion. But yeah, I would give it a 3 out of 5 stars. It's a good read. It's a lot of cute stuff at the beginning. I think this would probably be a really great read for single mothers out there. Non-spoiler section. So the Soulmate Equation follows Jess. So Jess is a single mother. The father basically got her knocked up and didn't want anything to do with her child, who is Juno. Juno is about a 7-year-old daughter. Jessica is 29, who ends up turning 30 during the book. Jessica's mom is really not a part of the picture. She was basically raised by her grandparents, Ronald and Joanne Davis, otherwise known as Nana Jo and Pops. They're so cute. I love those two so much. So then you have Jessica's best friend, who is Felicity Chen, otherwise known as Fizzy. The other main character in this is Americano. His real name is Dr. River Pena. This story is about a single mom who is kind of over dating at this point. You know, she doesn't want to risk involving anybody in her daughter's life. Everybody she meets just seems like the absolute worst match possible, like just gross. And so basically she finds out about this app that's coming out, kind of like a eHarmony / Bumble / Tinder. So basically how this works is they have found a way to match you by your DNA to see how compatible you are with somebody else. It has to do with how you're physically attracted to somebody, but also long-term goals. How are you matched well for each other or not? So she finds out about this and she gets tested, and basically she matches with the lead scientist who's a part of the company, and they're about to launch this company publicly, so it hasn't launched yet. But other than that, I think that's it for the spoiler section. So go read the book and we'll discuss later. Bye. Okay. What did you guys think of this book? I personally wasn't the biggest fan. So I just finished reading A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas before this. To say I was really craving some spiciness was kind of an understatement. Getting into this book, let's talk about the main parts real quick. I love Christina Lauren books because the character interaction is very good and it's very flirty and it's really fun and it makes you giggle. They're always very quick reads for me. So when I get into reading funks, like I usually go to some nice kind of like rom-com. Christina Lauren's always kind of been that for me. But this book, it just kind of felt like I just thought that they were miscommunicating so terribly. I feel like all of the conflict at the end could have just been resolved by, hey, why aren't you texting me? Or, hey, this is what I want. What do you want? And then they were like, oh, you're gonna ghost me? Okay, bye. We're done then. Oh, we're done? What? I don't know. I just think Jess is so... I'm not a single mom, so I don't really understand, but maybe it's just her saying, you know, I want to make sure my daughter's not getting hurt, so I'm just gonna shut this out before it happens. Which I can see, but I was just like, no, please, stop. Just talk to each other. I thought that was a little much for me. I'm gonna talk about the sex scenes in this book a little bit. For example, no, but I do look at him and think, I bet he's got a fantastic penis. Did you see the size of his hands? He could carry me by the head like a basketball. And then it talks about how she would want him to like lick her neck and all this stuff. And I'm like, this is gonna be so good when they finally hook up. And then it gets to the very first sex scene and I'm like, dang, wait, is she giving him a blowjob right now? Not once did it say anything about like his pee-pee going in her mouth. Sorry, I said pee-pee. She never once mentioned how it looked or anything like that. Like the sex scene, it was so very, very, very vanilla, which is fine. I get it. It's like the very first time you're having sex. But also later on, she's like, oh, so we can have more mind-bending sex? And I'm like, dude, this is the most not mind-bending stuff I can possibly think of. I was expecting like a little bit more, I guess. Maybe that's just me and my expectations are high after reading Sarah J. Maas's fairy smut, but oh well, that's me. So going through the book now. So we're in the coffee shop with Fizzy and Americana walks in and she's just obsessed with him, right? And immediately I'm like, she's gonna end up matching with this guy. Cool, okay. And then she talks to him and sparks are flying, but she hates him at the same time. And then they find out about genetically, I think that's how you say it, your future is already inside you. Da-da. They went to get tested. And then of course Jess is very lonely after like the student teacher conference kind of thing where they're announcing the science art fair. She submits her DNA and then they find out that she matched 98% with River. I like that name a lot, by the way, River. Ooh. It makes me really upset to know that David cheated the DNA. Like, you didn't even give her a chance to find somebody that she liked, you know? I don't know. I would be very frustrated for her because she's like legitimately trying to find somebody that she likes and could potentially be the father of her daughter. And they're like, well, let's just make it seem like this one will work and then go from there. Like, you're kind of a dick, dude. You guys suck. Anyway, so initially I thought that River was a total dick, you know, up until they brought her in to talk about the results. I feel so bad. I'm a very outgoing person. To me, a lot of times when I meet very quiet people or people who are more like in their heads, it always kind of comes off as condescending a little bit and just, you know, kind of like an asshole vibe. And that's totally not fair to people like that. Obviously, look at River. I just had to keep telling myself, like, he's not a dick. He's super smart. He's probably just really antisocial and doesn't know how to handle his emotions very well. You know, it turns out I was right. But it's kind of sad that that is the first impression of a lot of people who are just quiet. So that kind of sucks. I ended up really liking him a lot. Obviously, he still has a lot of miscommunication issues he has to work through, but that's why you got a single mother there for you. So she turns down trying to date him initially because she's like, ew, no, he's a total asshole. Like, I don't believe this. No. And then they offered to take her to dinner and they offered to pay her for it $10,000 a month. I don't know about you guys, but I would definitely be willing to do $10,000 a month to date a very hot person. But that's just me. But I'm married. I got my heart guy. So, diamond match. Anyway. And then we find out about her mom, Jamie. And she's a terrible person. She is not a nice person. She's just kind of on drugs the whole time. She gets involved in a pyramid scheme. We know that she's very easy to kind of be manipulated by other people. It makes me very sad to hear about her mom, which is kind of different from some of the other books that Christina Lauren have written. I mean, it's gotta be hard for Jess to be the parent to her parent because she just doesn't know how to get a good grasp on life, doesn't know how to be mature enough to handle her decisions, and doesn't really want help, honestly. So it's pretty sad. I think I teared up a little bit when I was reading about that initially. Then we find out that she was too ethical for Jennings Grocery and they fired her because they wouldn't manipulate the data to be what they wanted. I feel like maybe she should have reported that to somebody. I don't know, but I just don't think that's right at all. I feel so bad for her, but because of that, she ends up agreeing to dating River. And, you know, they just kind of hit it off right away. They have that date at the Thai restaurant and they eat good food and Juno runs up to her and River's immediately great with Juno. And I was a little worried about how he would interact with her. I smiled like every single time I saw him interacting with Juno and it made me so happy. So another thing, we didn't really hear about River's mom that much. There were a couple of scenes at dinner where I was kind of thinking to myself, oh, I think maybe his mom's dead or like maybe something happened with his mom. And so he's just like, there were a couple of scenes where I was just like, oh, something she did as a mother is really hitting home for him. But we didn't really get to learn much about his mom, just that his dad was kind of a butthead when he was watching the soap operas with his grandma, which kind of sucks. I wish we could have gotten a little bit more character development from him for that, but oh well. I remember the first time that he walked in to get coffee after that dinner date, and I was so giddy the whole time. Like, I was just remembering her blushing and him smiling, and that was the first time he's ever smiled, and the whole atmosphere of the coffee shop was changed, and I was just so happy. I'm like, look at these two, they're perfect for each other. I love it. Okay, and this is another example of, like, I was expecting a lot of spice. In chapter 14, you have him saying, he's talking about her dress. So he says, I like it. He seemed to struggle for words a lot. What was she hearing in his voice? Weird, tight restraint. It sounded like he was telling a platter of buttery beef Wellington I could stand to take a bite, when he really meant get in my face. Did River Pena want her in his face? Like, oh, I loved it. On to the cocktail party, and there's just all these people that are just investors, and they're kind of annoying. I wish they could have been like, go away, we're barely dating, dude. So, and then you see the old couple. I think they're the first diamond match that they had, and they were so cute. Like, I just remember being like, like, just so happy reading that scene, and like how weird they all were with each other trying to joke, and I loved it. It was cute. And then they have their first kiss, and I was like, this is so steamy and spicy. I love it. You know, nothing happened after that because Nana was shortly taken to the hospital for breaking her hip. I can't remember. But River was taking care of Juno, and that was another scene where I was just like, oh, River, you would be such a good dad. I love it. He was sitting in the ballet room to watch because Juno asked him to go in there. I just think that's so cute. I love it so much. And then when she was like kind of getting a little bullied at school, he stayed behind to tell Jess because he forgot to tell her initially. And I was just crying. I'm like, you're so sweet. Oh my God, I love it so much. They go to the parking lot to drop off Juno in the car, and then they have another kiss. And I was like, it's so steamy. I love it. Oh, so hot. So hot. I thought they were about to do it in the parking lot, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. There's probably people dying in the hospital, and they're going to visit people, but I'd also be like, hot parking lot sex. I'm about it. Mixed feelings on that, but it didn't happen, so I didn't have to go there. In the next chapter, he shows up again just so he can meet Nana Jo. He had already met Pops, so my heart melted. After the proposition with David and Brandon, I don't know. Every scene after that, I just fell in love with him more and more. Yes, you're definitely just super smart and antisocial. That's it. Okay, and then the sex scene happened shortly after that, and I've already voiced my opinion on that, but dang, I was really hoping she'd have like, I haven't had sex in 4 years sex, you know? I think that would have been pretty good. Alas, we did not get that. The part where Juno is like, why did you leave so early to get coffee? Mama has a coffee machine in the kitchen. Oh my God, I thought that was so cute. And then they're in the office to do the interview with, what is it? The Today Show. She finds paperwork saying that the match wasn't real. And in my head, I'm like, why does it matter to you? He just told you he loves you. And you're like, oh, but is it real? I don't know. Yes, it is real. Like, what do you care? You're happy. Stop being so obsessed with the numbers. I know you're a statistician, but it made me so angry. And then I feel like there's so many times towards the end of it where I thought Jess was just so dramatic with him. He hasn't dated in years either. Have a little patience with him. His whole business might be going up in flames because these guys are unethical. You said yourself that you're not okay with being unethical. Clearly he's not, so give him a little leeway. I don't know. I just thought Jess was a little annoying at the end, but I'm not trying to push that on you guys or anything. But, and then we get to the part where Jamie calls Jess. She's like, I'm drunk and can't go home, even though she had been sober. And so Jess goes to pick her up with Juno. I was expecting a lot worse for the party scene that she showed up to. Again, like a 7-year-old shouldn't be exposed to that. So, But then they get in the car and Jamie's like, yeah, I'm having a run-in with the cops. Apparently I owe this girl like $10,000. And I'm like, $10,000? How do you owe $10,000? And then, like, why would you use your bills? I don't know. Jamie's just not a very good person. I don't like her. I wish there would have been more of a redemption, I guess, for her. I felt like she was kind of a very flat character almost. Maybe it's because I can't relate to that kind of a person because I don't really have anybody like that in my life, but she just sucked. Jess gave her the $10,000 and then cut her off from her life. I mean, you probably could have just cut her off initially without giving her the $10,000. I don't know. Like, I feel like if I was a single mom, I would have been like, no, my daughter comes first. Like, what if I had to pay for some of my daughter's bills? She made her bed. She has to lie in it, I feel like. So, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. But we get to the end and it's just, oh, there's so much miscommunication and it makes me so angry. Like, why are you miscommunicating this much? You guys are both adults. I'm 26 years old and I communicate much better than both of you do. Cause like she's the youngest and she's 30. River's like 34 or 35 or something like that. Like, come on, stop. Children. But maybe the point of that is to say it doesn't matter how old you are. New relationships are gonna be full of miscommunication, which that could be a fair point, yeah. But also I'm like, realistically, how about we be a little bit more mature about it and just talk about our feelings, people? I really thought when I found out that Nana, Joe, and Pops lived next door that they were gonna catch her and River like getting it on, but I kind of wish that would have happened because I think it would have been so funny. It didn't happen and that's okay. You know some quotes I really loved in this? Hey mom, why are you making that face? What face? The face Aunt Fizzy can't make anymore because she got Botox. Oh, I relate to that because my sister gets Botox. Empty companionship was lonelier than being alone. And I felt that from when I used to be single and I was like just wanting somebody to be with. That was a great quote. And then this one, when she found out she got a price cut from when they fired her from the grocery store, Jess would gladly take 16 hours a week at minimum wage and the hit to the pride from serving River Pena if it meant Juno could keep taking ballet with Miss Mia. Oh, she's such a good mom. That was the one thing. I just continuously felt like she was being such a great mom. Even when she was kind of yelling at Juno because she was frustrated with her life. She didn't do bad though. Like she could have said like a lot of worse things. I don't know. I would go on a limb to say most girls don't have the best relationship with their mother. Most people out there are like, I don't want to become my mother. And I know I constantly caught myself reading this book and thinking, oh honey, trust me, you are nothing like your mother. You're doing such a great thing. I think that's a good lesson for us to take into, for those of us who want to be mothers or parents like further down the road, that just the thought of you saying you don't want to be like them, you know, you're gonna be a lot better off because of that. Again, I really liked the book. I just didn't get a lot of the things that I really wanted from it. So yeah, 3 out of 5 stars. But that's really all I have for this book. So let me know what you guys think of it. Feel free to comment in the video below, share. If you like my page, go ahead and subscribe. But yeah, hopefully getting a lot more videos sooner. Bye guys.